What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing round 2 of this mock draft. So if you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out round 1. I wish we could do a quick recap. Obviously, this is a new draft simulator for me because, PFF had to limit the amount of people on their mock draft site to 50, so RIP to that. Regardless, let's kick right into this. No need for a long-winded introduction. And starting off with the number 32 overall pick, technically what we're used to saying is number 33, the Texans sitting here, they're sitting nice and pretty. They got Bryce Young, and they have Anton Harrison. I got some kickback for drafting an offensive tackle for this team, and I understand why people do feel that way, but I'll just say this. I think that right tackle situation will probably need to be fixed, and not with $20 million a year to Titus Howard. Like, he's played good enough to be able to at least command 10 to 15. And that is a lot of money. I'd rather get a superstar, like Anton Harrison, than invest 30 to 40 million a year into my two offensive tackles. So if you guys can understand that, obviously that's where where my head's at right now. But I think edge rusher is the best way to go. Obviously, I love the idea of Jared Verse on this team. I would like to potentially take a larger guy than Jared Verse, but he is actually still a top 10 player on my board, and I think that is great. Obviously, you guys can see my board right here, right under me, and I'll pull it up. You guys get to see. Obviously, this is where my content's at, in case you're wondering why the hell I'm looking over here. Jared Verse at number 9 on my big board. Still a lot of guys who are in my top 32, but Jared Verse, it's just the value is too damn good, so I am going to take full advantage. The Panthers sitting here at number 33. Another spot where I love Jared Verse. I think BJ Ojulari certainly is on a short list of dudes who I would take for this team. Now, we got the quarterback. I think the offensive line's fine for the time being. I would like to potentially upgrade at guard, but I know that's not exactly a priority necessarily. And I know that I think Bozeman's the center as well. So you have some really good pieces there. So I do like that quite a bit. I think running back, like Jahmyr Gibbs, certainly should be in the consideration. We have a second round pick, though, and honestly, if I get Devon Achane rather than Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So I don't think that's a priority, but I think it's down to edge/defensive line and running back. I don't think cornerback's much of an issue. You guys have on paper one of the best corner cores in the NFL. Linebacker, I mean, you could always improve there, but it's a low-value position. So a guy who I want to draft, it's not Bryan Bresee. It's down to Tyree Wilson if you guys just want to get somebody crazy, but I love the idea of Will McDonald on his team. Obviously, you had Brian Burns as well as Hassan Reddick, and that was a very nice duo. Will McDonald's a very similar build to that, very similar to Kayvon Thibodeau in my eyes, in that 240 to 250 pound range. I think that he is an amazing fit for this team. The Steelers sitting at 34. It's hard-pressed not to go after Bryan Bresee, but offensive tackles certainly should still be in the consideration. Olu Fashanu definitely should be somebody who is at least considered at this point. There is a large drop-off after him. I'm not drafting Jalen Duncan ever. Like, literally, it might be like the 6th round before I start considering him. He's awful. So, to me, it's Olu Fashanu. You could, of course, look Bryan Bresee. Clark Phillips is on the list, but Eli Ricks, too. Man, this is a good spot to be. Because, again, you could just draft Eli Ricks and be like, hey, we got a potential stud. We're bringing the Alabama boys to Pittsburgh. But we have another pick coming up. And I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that I have the lone remaining tackle who I'd probably consider at this range than having to go after, potentially like multiple corners. So we're going to go Olu Fashanu here. Give it a shot. Obviously, he's super raw, super young, but he has improved. Not by leaps and bounds, but he's improved since the start of the year. So I do like that. Now we have the Lions. Myles Murphy, Garrett Williams. A lot of people aren't a huge fan of the fact that Garrett Williams got drafted, but if you look at the corners who are available right now, they are significantly worse, especially for this scheme, than Garrett Williams. I already said I would have traded back if trades were a part of this mock draft. So, again, you sometimes just have to reach if you don't have an option. And Garrett Williams, his talent is certainly worth the top 12 pick. He just had, I believe, a season-ending ACL surgery. So, it hurts. But, he's a really damn good player. I don't think it's something to lose sleep on. But this is round 2. And I do think QB should be in the mix. Tanner McKee is a great option for the team. And I do know quite a few teams that would probably take a quarterback in this range. Hendon Hooker deserves the respect as well. It's really up to you guys. Other positions that we could target, certainly interior defensive line with Bryan Bresee and Tyree Wilson and Gervon Dexter. Let's go BPA. We're not going to force it. Bryan Bresee is definitely worth it at this point. I'm not a fan of him in the first. A lot of people think he's like the best thing since sliced bread. He's not, but I still am going to respect it. He's a very good player. Pick number 36 after Jalen Carter has joined the abysmal Las Vegas Raiders. I think offensive line, if we can find somebody, would be the best move. And you got a couple guys in here. Primarily, I'm focusing heavily on Blake Freeland. It's probably one of the only guys I have left who's worth it in this round, and it's tough to say that he's going to be moving to right tackle. DeJuan Jones, not worth it. Again, this is not my big board. That's why I have it right up here. So you guys can take a peek at that. So Jalen Carter's already taken. I think corner certainly should be the next one. And you do have Eli Ricks here. I think that's the best guy on the board looking at it. Obviously, Riley Moss is a good one, but we all know that a certain group of individuals aren't usually built to play corner. Those group of people include myself. So I think Eli Ricks is a very good option here. Devon Witherspoon definitely deserves some credibility, but I haven't studied him enough to be able to give you guys good enough analysis, and I'm willing to admit that. There's some really awful mock drafts, especially one that came out this week from a YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers that just show that they absolutely don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But I'm willing to admit when I don't know, and that's one where I don't. So, again, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to admit that I don't know things, but I'm never going to BS you guys. That's something that I take a lot of pride in. I work my ass off to make sure I do know this stuff, and the fact that I see people with a lot of credibility dissuading you guys from actual truth, like taking Bryce Young to the Steelers, it hurts. It hurts. And that's why I do the mock every week, to just continue telling you guys that you need to hold these people accountable because they're getting paid to lie to you, to not do jack shit. They're being paid to be lazy liars. And I don't vibe with that. That's never been my type of vibe. That's never been my prerogative. I don't like BSing people. So when it comes to stuff like this, it gets a little personal. So obviously I know not as many of you guys are watching at this point, so only my true fans are watching. So that's why I gotta hit you guys from something from deep in the heart, man, because it really bothers me when I watch these people just get the notoriety that people like myself, who actually put a lot of work into this, don't always get. And they get rewarded for being absolute lazy pieces of crap. So it is what it is. Linebacker, I heard, is a concern for the Cardinals for sure. I know offensive line is as well, and I know that center, God, Billy Price has been stepping in. He looks like ass. So I'm going to save you guys. Finally, John Michael Schmitz could be an Arizona Cardinal. He's great in the run game as well. He's just been absolutely fantastic. Best center in this class by a long shot. Pick number 38, Pittsburgh. I honestly might go offensive line. I know corner is still on the board, and we unfortunately took the one guy who I was dreaming to get. But I think Clark Phillips would be a perfectly fine Steeler. I do like it. We have a lot of slot corners that end up playing boundary anyway, like Cam Sutton. So I'm not going to bitch and moan. I think it's a great move. I think it is. So for the Packers, I think that if you can go, it's too bad Rashawn Gary just got injured, but Tyree Wilson might be BPA. Offensive line, definitely. Honestly, I like this idea. Let's go Andrew Voorhees here. He can play tackle or guard. You can, of course, do the same with Elton Jenkins. I think that's a really good value. He is, as you guys can see, you guys can't see right now, he's right there at number 20 on my big board. I love him. He's great. Big fan of him. So there's not many guys who are left in that range, so we're just going to push it down a little bit. Number 40, one of my favorite players to potentially put on this team is really funnily very closely related to Kayvon Chason, and that's BJ Ojulari, freak athlete, edge rusher out of LSU. I do just love that potential idea, but I also want to get Ben Barch the fuck out of there, and I think that's a great way to start out by getting Osiris Torrance that I used to get in the first round for you guys. He just has a couple of plays here and there where it's just not fantastic, so I personally am not totally down with the idea of, taking him that early, but he's still a very good player, still has probably the best upside out of the guards, so I like it. Pick number 41, Antonio Johnson, Isaiah McGuire are bolstering this defense for the Seahawks. So at this point, I think linebacker needs to be the position to target. Drew Sanders, Jack Campbell, both of them are very solid. Both of them are very similar size as well, not as athletic as you probably want them to be, Both of them commanders of their team. I think Drew Sanders has a little bit more upside because he was brought to Alabama and used as an edge rusher as well. He's shown that he can put up to 250 pounds on his frame. Now he's down to 230, but he shows very good processing, probably one of the best linebackers day one out of this class. I do think that he could certainly elevate that Seahawks roster enough to be able to, give it the juice that it needs. Again, I don't really think the offense has very many issues. If you can just close out the game on defense, shoot, there's not really much you can complain about. Pick number 42, the Rams. We all know that they need offensive line, but also Jahmyr Gibbs is here, and they didn't trade Cam Akers, but they tried to trade for Christian McCaffrey, and I do think that Jahmyr Gibbs certainly fits in that mold, but I'm just praying to God that they go after offensive line. We're back to the Blake Freeland train. I'm a big fan of Blake Freeland. I love him, especially for the Rams. Like he's not anywhere in my top 64 at the moment, but he certainly is worth a top 64 pick, given the fact the tackle class, it falls off really quickly, and I draft a lot of them. Pick number 43 for the Browns. We still have top-tier wide receivers on the board, like guys who I have in my top 32. I think that this would be a good spot to potentially target one. Edge rusher as well is another really good spot to go. And you got B.J. Ojulari on the board. It's kind of hard to say no. He doesn't fit the exact profile, but I think that you could definitely mold him into it. So for me, I just think that you might as well take a swing on it. You have Myles Garrett. You have one guaranteed edge rusher who's going to be a baller. Take a shot on somebody who's a little bit more risky because you've already guaranteed yourself no risk with at least one of them. So it gives you a little bit of a leeway to potentially fail, and B.J. Ojulari's ceiling is god tier. Right now, the Saints have their pick of the litter, and I like the idea of Hendon Hooker on this team. They can use mobile quarterbacks very well, so I think it's a good spot to go. Indianapolis, I mean, obviously, I don't know if the head coach is actually going to be Jeff Saturday when like the draft comes around. Like, we'll see about that, but it's pretty obvious that he's going to probably try to emphasize the offensive line. I mean, maybe. You think, right? I mean, this guy only talked about offensive line whenever he was on ESPN in the first place. And I just want to take a quick look at who they have on their board. And, man, I mean, Robert Scott's the next dude who I consider. And he does have some very good games. Like, we'll pull it up here. I'll show you guys. We'll look at only the offensive tackles here. So, RIP. There we go. Have to pull that up. So we'll clear that and then take a quick peek at offensive tackle here. And you guys will see, of course, it doesn't actually pull up everybody. But, yeah, I have no idea why the hell the filter is not working. So RIP to that. But as you guys can see, there's definitely, let's pray. Let's go. It still doesn't do it. Regardless, there's still some good players on the board, just none of them who are in this type of range. Whoop-de-doo. So, RIP to that. It is what it is, but I'll scroll this here so you guys can take a peek more at the roster. And then pop that there. Now we're back. So, yeah, I think Robert Scott, he's in my 80s right now. Probably is a little bit rich for him. Just a little bit. So, I'm going to go probably after a corner here, and this is a good spot for someone like Emmanuel Forbes. Your number 2 corner is face on. I don't think that's going to be the good long-term option. Forbes has been just super locked down. Offensive line is a huge need, but there's just no value. So I pray to God you just spend money in free agency on it. Pick number 46, the Commanders. We went after a linebacker in first. Corner's probably the next position I'd want to target, but it's a little thin. A little thin. I like the idea of Chris Abrams-Drain, but he's definitely more of that safety style. I mean, we're in a weird spot here because we actually don't have many positions that we can target for this team. Like, I mean, Tyree Wilson deserves to get drafted. He's a really good player. I'm actually going to probably try to draft a tight end. I know you guys have quite a few dudes, but if Michael Mayer's here, you might as well take him. Just get another weapon for your quarterback. Pick number 47. So the Falcons, I think edge rusher or D-line's the best move. Tyree Wilson needs to go. He's a baller. I am a huge fan of him. So that's a good spot. Pick number 48, another spot where I wish offensive line were on the board, but it's not. So looking at guys who they could try to pick up, I do think tight end is the best case scenario for the team. Sam Laporta fits perfectly. He does kind of like move similar to Hayden Hurst, but he is just super all around. So that's what I really like about him. Pick number 49. So New England. We went after a wide receiver in the first. I think an edge rusher is perfectly fine here. And there's some really good ones. God bless me. Thank you. I don't know why I thanked you guys. Regardless, I think Derek Hall is an excellent player. Usually I like to edit those out, but honestly, who cares? Like, I don't think you guys are going to be like, oh my God, did he just sneeze on camera? So unprofessional. Listen, putting Bryce Young to the Steelers, that's unprofessional. I'm very butthurt about that mock draft. Like, that, it hurts me inside. So I think Derek Hall is actually a perfect fit. He fit, like, that's probably my favorite spot for him to go besides the Bears. And obviously we know the Bears don't have a pick for a couple more. So, yeah, I love Derek Hall. And him going to the Patriots just feels right. So I'm going to do it. Pick number 50. So the Buccaneers, I don't know if, this is the best move. Tanner McKee, right? He should be probably like a late first, early second pick. But, Tom Brady's not going to be there forever. And he might not even want to be in Tampa when he's still in the NFL. So I think it's a good spot for him to go. Pick 51. We got CJ Stroud. We got Will McDonald. I think we're chilling at the moment. We could definitely go tight end. I'm trying to think of it. Tommy Tremble and then Ian Thomas. You got Darnell Washington here. That'd be kind of fun. I know you got Jaheim Bell there, but sometimes it's just fun to take a swing. Let me know what you guys think about that. That's just more of a fan pick rather than just a pure logic pick. But Darnell Washington's just a very unique style of tight end. Pick number 52, the Chicago Bears got Peter Skoronski. And now I do think edge and defensive line are probably the positions who I'd want to target. I think the value's a little bit too good to try to pass on Gervon Dexter here. He definitely provides a lot of good interior pressure. So I think the value is sufficient. Pick number 53, the Titans. Malik Willis is looking a little rough. It's unfortunate. But we kind of all knew that he was going to struggle when he first came to the NFL. This much, maybe not. But it looks like you guys do need to get a wide receiver. And Josh Downs actually was probably the guy who I wanted to look at the most. He's super nifty. He can definitely get open. And, I like his movement skills overall. The Chargers, I'm getting a wide receiver for you guys as well. Zay Flowers is great, but I'm going to go after my number 3 wide receiver in the draft, Xavier Hutchinson, who I think could very comparably replace Keenan Allen. So I like that move. Pick 55 for the Seahawks. I don't know why it's showing the picks past this. Unfortunately, we are just doing 2 rounds. But maybe we could do a 3rd round next week. I'm not prepared to do it this week because there's a couple of videos I really want to talk about. One of them I've been mentioning multiple times. But if we are sitting here, we've addressed the defense 3 times. Let's at least look what we can do for the offense. I don't really think there's much. Luke Whippler is definitely one of them. I think that might be my move. I haven't studied Luke Whippler enough, but if he's in the top 50 for PFF, usually that's a good sign. I don't think I'd be disagreeing with his talent if he is a top 50 for them. And Ohio State knows how to produce interior offensive linemen for sure. So I do like it. Let's go Luke Whippler. At least focus a little bit on the offense and build through the trenches. Pick 56, the Jets. I totally want to go a linebacker here. I do. Jack Campbell is such a good player. I love Jack Campbell. He's awesome. Huge fan of Jack Campbell. We're going to go it. Jack Campbell needs to be the guy. He definitely deserves to be a 2nd-round pick. Henry To'oTo'o, I have him as a 5th to a UDFA. 5th is the reach range. So, yeah, big fan of that. Obviously, Jacoby Windman, I have him as a 1st-round pick. And this is probably where I'm going to take him. You got Bradley Chubb. I think DB definitely could be a position you do want to look at. But there's just no boundary corners here. Devon Witherspoon, again, I'm not going to draft him this week just because of the fact that I don't know him enough. And I haven't seen all 22 from last year. That gave me stuff to watch for this year. I'm not ready to anoint him yet. I might do it anyway, just because of the fact that I do know that he has been absolutely locked down for Illinois. Somebody who I want to shout out that I might take in the 3rd. Let's say if we continued it for a 3rd round. TJ Tampa from Iowa State. He's a 5th-year senior, but this guy's been locked down week after week after week. So definitely somebody who you guys should keep your eyes out for. I don't even know if they have him in here. I would not be surprised if they don't have him in here at all. Of course, he's Iowa State, so I'm sure they just put him down the board. But TJ Tampa absolutely needs to be the guy. And I'm not seeing it. I don't think he's here, so that is kind of the shame. I really like TJ Tampa a lot. He's made my list multiple times for stock up, stock down. So good for him. But with this one, we're going to go Jacoby Windman. We're taking the swing on my number 1 overall linebacker. His talent is just through the roof. I'm a huge fan of him. But, I mean, again, he is super raw. He's not ready to just step in and be a dominant linebacker, but his ceiling is Micah Parsons-esque. I love it. I really do. He's an edge rusher that can play linebacker who's a freaky athlete. Pick 58. So New York, there is a lot of positions I could target for you guys. Quarterback, thank God, is no longer on the board. I'm happy for that. Tight end definitely is one where I do want to look at. I know Bellinger, I think he had a fractured eye socket, so hopefully he gets better from that. But I love the idea of Jaheim Bell. You guys want a wide receiver, but I want to get somebody who's super versatile. That's definitely somebody who could fit that mold. Pick 59. Cowboys got Jack Smith and Jigba. Big fan of that one. I think a DB definitely could be in the mix here, and that's why I like Chris Abrams-Drain. I mean, he is definitely worth a first-round type of talent for me. You could see it right there. He is number 35 on my big board. There is one more wide receiver who I'm dying to take, and I'll probably do it for the Detroit Lions, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. 60, I don't want to be boring. Like, I love to go after Tyler Davis for this team. We'll go Kalijah Cansey. Getting some extra interior pressure. I like to go the same positions like for the Chiefs because I think those are the two ones that have great value at those spots. Kalijah's been going off, man. He's been getting like 8 pressures a game. It's ridiculous. So I just want to reward him for absolutely dominating the way he should. Pick 61. This is going to be Justin Shorter, and I don't know exactly. So I obviously haven't drafted him with this mock draft simulator, so give me a second to be able to find him. But I mean, he's fantastic. He really is. I'm a big fan of him. It's too bad I don't think there's a search function because I would love that. What the hell? TJ Tampa is listed as a wide receiver? Come on, man. Come on. Oh, that's actually really funny. I'm not going to lie. That is really funny. Went to school with Micah Pittman. His name just popped up there. He was the wide receiver when I was playing at Oaks. So he, of course, transferred with Johnny Wilson to Calabasas High before they actually both transferred to, Florida State. So glad to see that. I'm probably just missing it. I'm going to go one more read through, and then we're going to be drafting Justin Shorter here. I am a very big supporter of him. You know what? We'll show love for my friend Rashee Rice. That's not the pick, obviously. I go to SMU, if you guys don't know. Ra is one of my boys. I don't think he's worth a day 2 pick. A lot of people do. I don't think so. But that's going to be Justin Shorter. I'm surprised on this long list of dudes. Justin Shorter's not on it. But it is what it is. The Bills, I think linebacker definitely could be a good option here. And I see some really fun guys who you could draft for sure. But I want to at least entertain some other ideas. Oh my God. I forgot about the running backs, man. We're going Blake Corum. And then, of course, the Eagles. Fuck my life. We're getting Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's going to be the end of the draft. Wow. We really just had to end it like that. I promise you, I do not do this for the Eagles. I swear to God. I swear. On my heart, I don't do this for the Eagles. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side.